This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengrack. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Aptco, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries. Hit them with the hook, Jeffries.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. And every once in a while, you just have one of those shows where you get up in the morning and you're like, today's going to kick butt. And this is one of those shows today. We have live on location from the Lake Norman Redcrest, the one and only. He's becoming like a consultant, I guess. Or, I mean, he's like a regular on the show now. He talks about it. The one and only Jody White, who knows all things MLF, Redcrest, MLFLW extraordinaire. He's going to get us dialed in for Redcrest. It's weird just the way the schedule worked out with the Opens and then going that I wasn't able to be at Redcrest this year. But heck, we got Jody White, which is almost as good as being at Redcrest. And then we have Bradley Hallman back from his first two Elite Series stops. And hey, he's going to get to give an interview about what it was like fishing the first two Elite Series and not about how hard the Opens are and what he's doing to get ready for the Elite Series. So I'm sure he's excited to talk about some new stuff for it. We're going to bring both of them in as we get ready for that. All right, there you go. Jody, how are you doing? Thanks for jumping on. You centered beautifully along the queen or around your king size bed there at Lake Norman at Redcrest.
Yeah, I am great. I'm in a very exciting hotel room with plenty of traffic near Lake Norman.
Bradley, you've got a BFE hat.
Yeah.
Like that's brand new. Like how new is that?
Very new. Like I just pulled them out of the box.
Is that a Richardson 112? No way. Yeah. Is that a patch BFE?
Yeah, it's a gray patch. It's got a BFE patch on it and then a Hallman fishing patch on the back. Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, kind of old ranch style.
How many of those do you have?
I've got like 85 of those, I think.
What are you going to have?
Hey, check this one out. You like the trucker, Jody? You a trucker hat guy?
I mean, I'm a fan.
I can't wear that one.
The white foam trucker hat.
Disclosure.
I can't wear that. It'll make my ears look big.
Yeah,
the trucker hat will.
I didn't think I'd like it. Billy got a bass, helped me get them, and Billy's like, dude, you got to get the white foam trucker. You got to get the white foam trucker. So we've got some white foam.
So are you going to be selling these?
Yeah, I'm going to pedal them around, I think. I don't have it all set up yet, but
when are you going to have it set up? Because that's a must-have.
Well, I've got a feeling no more than I have right now. They'll probably be gone at the Classic, more than likely.
You're hooking me up with one, right?
Yeah, I've already had like 2 or 3 guys be like, dude, I want one.
I know, but I need a confirmation. Like,
yeah. You get one. We'll swap. We'll actually do a swap. You give me a BTL hat, and I'll give you a BFE
I've given you like 4 BTL hats.
That's incorrect. You've given me one.
Okay, then we're even. On a one-to-one swap. Okay. What else do you want from BTL? I do have a hoodie that's in your size.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
A BTL hoodie.
A BTL hoodie for a BFE hat.
All right. Jody has a busy day. Today's a media day, right? For Redcrest. The Derby starts tomorrow on Lake Norman.
Yeah, it's not that different from like sort of your typical pre-tournament registration day. Like some guys have to have profile photos taken. They've got a meeting. There's officials meeting. They get swag. They've got a dinner. Like it's not wildly out of the ordinary, but there's also like more going on than your standard regular season event, which is always, I guess that's a championship event factor that you always have to deal with, whether it's the Classic, whether it's the Old Forest Wood Cups. Like they're probably always more annoying than just fishing. But you know, really good payout. So
do we still have a black tie dinner or a like a night of champions walkthrough thing that they've done in the past?
They have like the Thunderbolt ball, which is like kind of a
Wait, pause
mid-tournament
real
party.
quick. Pause real quick. I've heard of this for the last couple of years. That is actually the name of it, the Thunderbolt ball.
I mean, I have a PDF document that says Thunderbolt, and maybe I'm making up the ball part, but definitely the Thunderbolt part is there.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah, so they've got that. Tonight's dinner is, I don't think black tie. I think it's just wear whatever you want to wear. There's a lot more stuff going on than a regular event.
Are you taking a date tonight, Jody? Let's get to the important questions.
I'm not.
No. With the stash and all, I figured maybe you'd be rocking a date.
I mean, it's like a possibility, but honestly, I'm a long way from home right now.
All right, let's talk a little bit of about the fishery. Lake Norman spotted bass. I had the pleasure of being there for the Open. Was it last year? I think it was last year. In the fall, or maybe the year before. Anyway, I fished it Open there, and I really liked it for spotted bass. But I will say this: both of the co-anglers that I drew said that Brian Thrift owns that lake, like far and away, bar none, without a doubt. When he puts his boat on the water, he's the man to beat. Do you concur with that statement?
I mean, yes. I don't think I've been at a tournament where he's done worse than like third. He crushes here. Andy Montgomery does too. But I don't have as much like up close experience watching Montgomery crush as I do watching Thrift crush here. And obviously, like it's a changed lake over the years, and like pre-live scope 3 or 4 years ago, I think he'd just like slot Thrift in as like the definite favorite, or Thrift in Montgomery. And now, like, maybe there's some stuff that's new that he didn't grow up doing. But I mean, man, if it's like a cranking deal or a dock deal, it's hard to count him out for sure. Hard to do anything but have him as the favorite.
Brad, when you're fishing one of these events and there's someone in it that is, just a far and away favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you guys notice that on the water. I fish the Opens. I notice when someone drives past. Does that impact your practice at all? Like if you're out there and you see Thrift a lot during practice, or you're like, man, I've never seen Thrift during practice. Do you think the other anglers are out there noticing where and what he's doing? I think back to like Tommy Biffle,
right,
who was like, I didn't want to be on Fort Gibson. I didn't want those suckers to see where the hell I was, so I mowed my yard.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think when you have such a big home field advantage, you have to be careful of when you're a guy like Thrift on Norman?
When you're a guy as good as Thrift is on Norman, most of the stuff that he's planning on fishing in the tournament, he will not look at in practice. He'll look at it in the tournament. That's a guarantee.
Really?
So, yeah. So when you see a guy like that, you know that he's on his third, fourth, fifth, sixth options. They're not his first options.
So the first cast you think that he's making on his 1A juice stuff on Norman, he did not check in practice.
100%.
That's a veteran move.
Mm-hmm. There's no need. He knows that pond inside and out. Dude, when we talk about like what Jody's saying, when he knows it. Dude, he fishes there so much. And still
like more than Christie on Grand back in the day?
Yeah, because he's fishing all the Wednesday nighters and everything else. I mean, Thrift still fishes all the local jackpots and the Wednesday nighters and the Tuesday nighters, and they've got a lot there at Lake Norman. There's a huge group of fishermen there in there, yeah. Jody, local fishermen, a bunch.
Yeah, the Carolinas have a lot of fishermen, period, and like Lake Norman gets a lot of tournament pressure locally. And like, Shane LaHue and Thrift, like they fish team derbies together on Norman in the wintertime, and they'll catch 20 pounds and make people look silly. And sometimes they don't win, but they are pretty good together. He stays out there a lot. I think the one thing that probably helps the favorites in this is that Norman can fish pretty good from like one end to the other. And it's a big lake with only 40 people out there. Like they're not going to have spot competition at all. Like, it's not like they know 5 juicy stretches. They all know 15, 20, 50 juicy stretches, plus like 150 boat docks that have a perfect brush pile they want to go hit. And I mean, in tournaments here, I've seen Thrift like fish and do well from within like a mile of the dam to way up above the state park. I wouldn't expect to see him in Montgomery like up the river like we saw Wesley win up there a while ago, and like Shyrock won up there in an open. Like I wouldn't expect to see them play that far up the river, but anything else I think is in play, especially for, it's a 5-day tournament. Like they're going to have plenty of time to use the entire lake.
Here's the other big one too, and we tend to forget this going into events when we start looking at stuff. I know I did a bunch of predictions for the Elite Series this year, and they're way off because I forgot one thing. This is big, and this is a big difference too. And this is a takeaway from Thrift. This is something that takes it out of his arsenal. If we're still talking as if we were pre-live scope days, and if we were pre-live scope days, then he is that strong, heavy favorite. With that live scope being in play now, with every tournament that we've seen up to this year, it's a possibility that every pro event is won with forward-facing sonar of some kind going forward throughout the year. And those guys,
you're getting out of control, Brad.
Well, you tell me one that hasn't been won yet with it. I mean, is Dakota Ebear in this field?
Yes, that's what it was. My next
he is
question.
He is as strong as a favorite as just about anybody there, and he's from Texas right now. I mean, that kid can do no wrong.
I agree.
In the fall in 2020, we had a Toyota Series event here, and Troy Morrow beat Thrift, and he was catching them on live scope. And there haven't been that many like big events on Norman really since then, or well, I guess there was that other open in the fall, but like,
yeah.
I think that live scope is absolutely, or forward facing sonar, it's absolutely a player in this tournament. And I think that probably even some locals are going to learn some things just based on watching Dakota, watching Wheeler, watching some of these guys who really, really have relied on it a lot. Whereas I don't think you're going to see Thrift and Montgomery, basing their strategies off live scope, even 50%. I suspect that they're going to be doing a lot more regular fishing.
This lake's got a lot of spotted bass, and anytime you put spotted bass in the equation with live scope, it's going to be a big player. And then you talk about the group of anglers that you've got in that field.
There's like the best spotted bass fishermen on earth in this field. I was looking at it, and it's like, take live scope, take the location out. But like, you just go through and you have Casey Ashley, Connell, MDJ, Ott, Dakota. And I'm just talking about guys that I think would do Ayler, Gagliardi. Yeah, Cody Meyer. Jeremy Lawyer has a lot of experience with this lake sets up like an Ozark Lake, but Justin Lucas, Cody Meyer, Thrift, obviously, Wheeler, and Jesse Wiggins. Those are some guys that have weighed in some sacks of spotted bass in their day.
And what I'm witnessing in tournaments is that the traditional styles of fishing, while they still can bring in the freak show bags or the biggest bags of the event, the live scope bags are very consistent. The consistency of those tend to stay up, and it's very hard to override that over a multi-day event.
How's the format work in this, Jody, with the 40 guys? What are we looking at for the format wise?
So they have the first 2 days that are the qualifying round, full field fishes both days, the top 20 advance, and then then they zero the weights out, and the final 3 days are 2 knockout round days and a championship round day, which you don't really need to worry about the names so much. They will basically cut the bottom 5 from the field on day 3, on day 4, and then day 5 it'll be just the top 10 fishing. So you'll have a 3-day cumulative 5-fish weight for who wins this tournament on Sunday.
That's good stuff with very limited pressure on the fishery.
Yeah, 40 40 guys.
Oh, dude, the
on
open
Norman is
fished
nothing.
huge. Like we had 200 and some on it, and I remember like only twice did I run. And I had a decent tournament there, but only twice did I like run to an area where I was like someone was there, and that was with 200.
Yeah, I fished open here, and I think like I saw like 2 boats that I didn't know, and Pipkins in the same creek as me, like over 2 days. And
That's wild.
It's a gigantic. It's a big lake, and it fishes really big.
I know this is not your job to know all this stuff, but outdoor expo and all that going on to where if you are in that North South Carolina area. Okay.
Yeah, I got ready for this because it's somewhat my job. So it's March 10th, 11th, and 12th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Free admission. It's in Charlotte. It's at the Park Expo and Conference Center.
Are you going to be there?
No, I'll be on the water. I'll be out taking
You won't be
pictures.
there at all? What if you have fans that want to meet Jody White at the expo?
Come to takeoff. I'll be there. It's at Blythe Landing.
Okay.
I don't think I have fans, but
oh, you 100%.
Oh, you have fans, dude.
100%, man.
100%.
I would say takeoff or on the water. I'm not trying to deal with Charlotte traffic to get to and from places, if possible. But
you have a thermos?
I would say if you're a fan of expos, check it out. It should be pretty good. Seems like there's a lot of exhibitors and stuff.
Really
like that.
selling that there, Jody.
I don't really like that many people. I like lakes more.
Really selling the expo for the fans. Brad, do you have a thermos with you?
Yeah, it's actually Jody commented on earlier. It's an old FLW mug.
Oh, nice.
It's a good one. That's
nice.
Fine.
Oh, but a buddy of mine had it made, so it's got
FLW Tour Tournament Champion Bradley Hallman, Lake Lanier, Georgia, March 2018.
Remember that day, Jody?
Oh,
hey,
so well.
Has there been a bigger bag of spotted bass weighed in an MLF or FLW tournament since Bradley's 24-pound effort?
Yeah.
Probably not. I would have to look at some BFL.
They definitely that bag's definitely. I mean,
I'm talking about
like
I know, but I'm talking about in a major event.
Oh, definitely not.
No.
Yeah.
No. And of all people to do it, Bradley.
It's what Jody was saying.
Especially in 2018.
Yeah.
You were just discovering that reels cast longer than 30 foot in 2018.
That's not true.
All right, anything?
Spend the final 2 days of that tournament throwing a spinnerbait. So, that's, or at least the last day. So you got to do some real Hallman stuff in that.
What weight wise? What are we talking about here? Just kind of put a bow on Redcrest for us, for those of us who are going to be watching it live, to where if a guy gets to, according to Jody White, he's in dang good shape.
I feel like maybe 14 or 15 pounds is going to be really good. If you catch that 17 to 20, I think that sets you up fantastic to win. But I don't think it takes 17 a day to win. I think you could probably catch 15 over the final 3 days and be absolutely right there. That said, if the weather is really bad, which it's supposed to sort of get colder throughout the tournament and rain some, I have a feeling that'll make the fishing quite a bit better. Because I think that they bite in kind of nasty weather out here. And then I feel like you could see that upper teens winning weight play. But I'm kind of feeling it's really hard to do upper teens on Lake Norman. I feel like that 15-pound range is kind of what we're looking for.
What's the water temperature and the weather like? Are the trees starting to bud there? Are they getting close to spawning?
Maybe. I was on the water with Ashley the other day. The thing is, so I was on the water with Ashley the other day. There are some places that are covered over with pollen. There's bushes flowering. There's trees starting to bud. The water is 59. And keep in mind, Norman's a hot lake. It's got 2 power plants on it. But at the same time, we never saw a fish on bed at all. We saw some fish cruising, but we also he caught a whole bunch of fish in the middle of pockets, chasing herring or whatever out in 30 feet. It's not Shane LaHue told me that he thought some guys could catch a big bag on bedfish on like day one, but I don't feel like the lake is far enough along at all that, we're going to see bedfish for multiple days, especially considering the weather. I think it's kind of a lot of fish that are close to wanting to spawn, and then probably still a lot of fish that are feeling pretty darn wintry. I fished Hartwell like 2 days ago, and there were a ton of fish in like 30 feet of water. And that's farther south, and the weather was warm then. So,
all right. Are you allowed to pick a winner? I just want all of us to pick our Redcrest winner right now. Or do you have to remain impartial?
I'm going to take Dakota Ebert because he wins every tournament.
Smart. I'm going Joe Lee on this one. I think this one sets up real well for Jordan Lee.
I think it does.
I think Jordan Lee's going to be right in it at the end. He'll be pushing his Toro lawnmower across the stage on the final day.
I'll take Wheeler all day long if y'all are going to leave him out there. My God.
We really went out on limbs there, folks.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Nobody picked Drifter Montgomery? Like, what's going on here?
No, because it's the like Bradley said. I think it's a different era.
It's a different era. It's live scope, dude. Spotted Bass Lake on top of that. It's 100% a live scope tournament. This tournament will be one with live scope.
I think that's a little bit bold. I could absolutely see like somebody cranking and winning. But
cranking, skipping jigs on docks, it's not going to get it done. It's going to be somebody out in the middle of off one of those points looking at them.
It's going to be Wheeler.
Yeah.
Dakota Ebert or Jordan Lee doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I do love those tournaments, so I'm happy either way. I love this tournament. It is a really fun tournament.
I will say this. So last year was one of our best episodes that we did on BTL. Matt and I had basically a Heisman Trophy for the best bass angler for the year. And Dakota Ebert was invited to the stump, but we sent him to the bar pretty early. The way he's fishing right now, he continues.
So
he's
get
not going
this,
to the
Brad,
bar early next year.
Like 2 weeks ago, I get a call. Jacob Wheeler just wants to chat fishing. I was shocked. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, just driving. So I start picking his brain about stuff, right?
Yeah.
We talked for like 2 hours on the phone. And I said, well, I've got you. I said, these were our finalists. I said, I want to know what your thoughts are. And remember, Caudell's part of the Ding squad. And he's the guy who was going, how the hell could he not? Why would you pick Michael Neal over a guy who won 3 events?
Yeah.
And Wheeler, this is Jacob Wheeler, was on the same page as us with Angler of the Year and wins and consistency, or Angler of the Year and consistency, including wins over. He's like, dude, he was totally cool with Michael Neal being the BTL Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
Like he was totally cool with that, because I said, was that a miscarriage of justice? And he's like, no, absolutely not. Because Caudell also had a couple not so great events.
Well, I'll tell you this, we're definitely doing this again at the end of this year.
Yeah.
But we're going to have some more thought into it.
Yeah. We need to bring Jody in on it. We'll have you, we'll maybe bring the Ron father over from Bassmaster in on it.
Yeah.
I remember texting Bradley the whole time as I was listening to that show with hot takes. So
you did not totally agree with our.
I don't know if I did or not. I honestly would need to listen again to have another opinion. I just really enjoyed it.
Okay, awesome. All right. Like I said, Redcrest going on Lake Norman. Live coverage begins tomorrow morning on MajorLeagueFishing.com. The General Tire Redcrest Outdoors Expo, March 10th through 12th, 2023, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is at the Park Expo and Conference Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Jody White, I had to get all that in to take care of Joe.
He did a great job.
Jody White, thank you for jumping on last minute from the hotel room and getting us ready for Redcrest.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Jody.
See you. All right, that was Jody White. He's, like I said, I think you've been on with him before. He is a great asset to whoever and wherever he is working.
That is a fact. I've always been a big
asset.
Jody White fan.
I said there's a couple guys over there at MLF that are keeping the thing together, and he's one of them.
For sure. Dude,
All
Clay
right.
Williamson put a good one in there, so maybe we could get Jody and Ronnie in an arm wrestling match. It would go viral. That's
would
actually
be-
a pretty good one.
That would be. There was also a comment earlier. So on that hat, you need a hat that says Freak Show.
Yeah, we could come out with a bunch of different hats. Let's
You need
see
a
how the
Freak Show
BFE
hat.
thing flies first, boys.
The
Before I spend
BFE
all
thing
of
is
my money.
not going to fly. It is going to. It is already in the air. Like you're already at 50,000 feet on cruise control, Brad.
Yeah.
Like those things are already. They're done. They're gone. That's
Mhm.
why I needed a on-air confirmation that I had one of the first batches. I put the BFE sticker on my rig this year.
Did you really? That's a good looking sticker.
It is the white sticker. I think Jordan designed that.
He did good with that.
He did. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get into what everybody has been waiting for, which is a breakdown of your first 2 Elite Series tournaments. Now, I've talked to you at length over since you have gotten off of the Elite Series. The one thing I have not talked to you about is the actual tournaments. Been saving it for on air to see how we break it down. So my goal on this is I just want to have a conversation just like we would off air where I talk to you about it, because we typically do that, and talk about it, but I haven't. So I don't know how it went down. You had one good tournament and you had one below average tournament. Fair assessment?
Yeah, definitely.
55th place in the Angler of the Year points a quarter of the way through the season. We're going to talk about how it went down at Lake Okeechobee. We're going to talk about how it went down at Lake Seminole with Bradley Hallman, the new BFE gear in stock, but not for sale yet. That's a bold move. We'll be back BTL on a Tuesday right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Taiwan Strike King.
Hey guys, Gerald Swindle representing the AFCO Hydronaut. This is the jacket I love wearing when times is tough, and I'm talking about the weather, not the fishing. The jacket, what I like, I got a double cup right here. I can seal up the bottom of my jacket because when you're fishing, you're holding your arms up. You're bad about getting water that runs downhill. Everything bends good. I'm long arm. Look, it fits very comfortable. My arms is flexible. I've got the speed hood on, pouring down rain. I can get everything zipped up. One thing they did is they made plenty of pocket space. If you ain't got enough pockets in the Hydronaut rain suit, you just got too much stuff. From the water membrane, that's 30K, baby. 30 times the reason you ain't gonna get wet. Super warm. If it's cold in the wintertime, you put on your Hydronaut, you're gonna be a much more comfortable person. If you don't want to just look sexy at Dairy Queen, wear your Hydronaut. We got it from small to 5X. Most rain gear does not come in that many sizes. You got waist adjusting straps. We can make it fit you no matter what the environment is. We want you to be comfortable. We want you to be dry. You gotta check it out. It ain't gonna let you down.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at ShorelineBoatandRV.com, Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa. All right, welcome back, BTL. On a Tuesday. I got you back, Brad.
Yeah, somehow I clicked out of there. I don't know how I did that.
I know. I was about ready to come back, and then all of a sudden you went away. Do you have an LBJ hat yet, or just the BFE?
I just had the BFE right now.
I talked with, is he your boss, Taylor Watkins?
Yeah.
He would be your boss, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Over there at what, Omega?
Yes, at Omega Tackle. When did you talk to Taylor?
He was at the Open. Sat behind me at our
yeah. That's right.
2-hour in-person meeting.
Cool.
And he was beyond excited to work with you on perhaps a LBJ project.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Hopefully I'm not letting the cat out of the bag on
No,
that.
you're
I think
not.
that was a pretty obvious thing when you sign with the jig company that you're
Yeah.
going to have a Bradley Hallman. Anyway, he was talking about how excited he was about it. And I said, dude, whatever Brad says, I said, do it. Like, do not change. I said, there is a reason. I said, so here's what I said to him. I said, have you been in the boat with him yet when he throws the LBJ? He says, no. I said, dude, before you build anything, before you order anything, before you start anything, I said, you need to spend a day where they're on the LBJ and you just sit there and watch Brad throw it. I said, and then you'll understand the who, what, when, where, why of the logistics of that jig. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Fair point?
Yeah. We could probably do it on Watts Bar. I don't know if there's time after the Classic for he and I don't know what our schedules are, but we could definitely do it on Watts Bar. There's enough docks there. They eat it there too. I've caught them on it.
Good stuff. All right. Dude, there's a lot of people who love this segment. This is where you go in depth, you break down what happened on the tournament. Little BTL exclusive stuff. Now, you have a cameraman. You have a really good guy too, who's following you around the entire year. So that's available on Bradley Hallman Fishing on your YouTube channel.
Correct.
But I want to go in depth on your first 2 Elite Series events of the year. Overall, first quarter, just break it down on how you think your performance was.
Well, first of all, it was super, super exciting just to be back, dude. Like a lot of the same faces that I hadn't seen in a long time, a lot of things that I thought, guys that I'd fished against at FLW, along with a lot of the guys at Bass that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it was good to see a bunch of those guys and be back in that atmosphere. So Okeechobee was honestly just a lot of excitement. And practice was ho-hum. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. I had one good day in Moonshine Bay, and I had, I say good day of practice. I had a decent day of practice in there. I caught a couple of nice ones, saw a couple of good fish, and enough to settle down in the tournament. And then at the end of practice on day 3, I found a place over in, I think it's Mud Eater Creek or Fish Eater Creek. That's the name of it.
That sounds way better than Mud Eater Creek.
Yeah, Fish Eater Creek. I believe that's the name of it. I could be wrong, but I believe that's right. Anyway, I found a little area in there on the reeds in the evening, and they acted like they were spawning. So there was all this isolated cash, just throwing a little worm to the base of the cattails, and there wasn't any other high drill or anything. So it was very spot oriented cast, which I like. Target, visual targets. And so, the first day of the tournament there, I ran that. Here's the funny thing. I ran to check those fish at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and there was like 15 other boats in there with me, which is typical Florida. And within an hour or so, they had all left, and I hadn't had a bite. And it was like those fish didn't exist. And they were biting like piranhas just the evening before because we had practice. I guess we had a day off, so there was a period there. But anyway, they had been biting just an evening previously before. And man, there was nothing there. So I go back over to Moonshine Bay and start winding my worm around. And I'm in an area with 3 or 4 guys in there. One of them, Matt Airy, was in there, and Jochimson was in there.
He crushed him in that event.
Dude, they were both crushing them on day 1. And I get in there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and they're just killing them and calling. And it's one of those deals, Matt, when you're in that flotilla of guys, and everybody, it just seems like every time you turn around, somebody's bent over and their butt's up in the air and they're in their live well. And
you're like, when's my turn?
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of one of those deals. And I stayed in there and caught 4 or 5 fish, but nothing really of any size. No, I didn't have 4 or 5. I had 3 out of there. And because I remember it was 1 o'clock and I was like, I got to get out of here. So I left.
My gosh.
And I went back to where I'd started the morning, where I had no bites and where everybody had left, and everybody was still gone. And when I got there, I was like, yeah, I probably should have stayed put. And I started flipping the reeds, and it started going off just like it was. So it must have been a weather time of day deal. Those fish.
Do you think those fish were still there and they just weren't eating when you flipped through them?
I think that in the morning, it had cooled off, and they were either not as aggressive, You
don't think you fished through them too fast the first morning because it was your first morning back on the Elite Series?
No way.
No way.
They weren't there. They weren't there. They were not biting.
Fishery that you've won before. You don't think that you maybe burned through that area just a little too keyed up?
No, dude. This was flip on the outside reed deal.
You were able to do that after
Shake.
8
Oh, yeah.
years and 3 years of trying to make it back. Like you didn't have any of those nerves or jitters on that first morning.
No, not really. I really didn't. I fished really relaxed all week. Ended up catching, almost 15 pounds out of there in the evening. And
so anyway, you went
Jody.
back. You went back at 1. You said, and no one was there, and they were biting. I didn't mean to derail your day 1. So continue.
So they chewed. So I had a great afternoon, and well, great for me, right? I mean, it wasn't a 28-pound bag or anything, but it was close to 15, and I was happy with it, especially as rough as my day had gone. And I go to weigh in, and 15 pounds is, right there around the cut weight. So I was happy with it. Day 2, I knew that I had to make more out of Moonshine Bay. So I went into Moonshine Bay first thing in the morning, and Ari and Jockimson are still in there, and Josh Douglas was in there at this point. I hadn't seen Douglas in there yet, but he was in there on day 2 with me because he was right next to me. I caught a 712, was like my second or third fish of the morning. So that always helps,
What was that on a swimming worm?
Caught it on a speed worm, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. On that one that Big Bite came out with a couple years ago.
Tour swim worm?
The tour swim worm. Yeah. It's a little bit longer. The big one too, the 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I caught the 712, and then
I mean, did you boat flip it? Was it a wrestling match?
No. There was like this clump of reeds, and I'd kind of thrown past it, and I was reeling up to them. Now they were dead under the water, but I reeled up to them, and I just kind of killed it. And right when I'd cleared the reeds, and I picked up on my line, and I was like, it's tight, and I set the hook, and nothing moved, and I was like,
oh God,
this is the one, And Douglas was close enough. He was cheerleading me, He was all screaming and fired up, and because he had just caught a pretty nice one right before that. But yeah, it was a good little area. And then I fished around there, and still was stupid enough to leave because I thought, man, if those fish out there bit at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I wonder what they'd do at noon. So I left at noon with about 15 pounds, 15 and a half. And I left at noon to go out there. And guess what? It was like the total opposite of the day before. I struggled to get bites out there. I may have culled once or twice, but not big culls. And go in the day, and it was enough to make the cut and finished, I was in the 40s somewhere.
Yeah.
And
but
then
mission
day 3
accomplished. I mean, you made the top 50 cut in Florida to kick things off. Obviously, it's the lake you wanted to have won on before, but I mean, going in, making the cut in the first one back, you had to be happy.
Super excited. So like I'd achieved my goal. Like that was the main thing, right? I mean, we would all love to tell the fairy tale of winning on Okeechobee twice, but if I could just get off to a good start, have a good solid tournament, and that's kind of where I was headed. And as much as I'd kind of run around with my chicken with the head cut off, I felt pretty good about what had happened so far. And I had a pretty good game plan for day 3. I was like, I'm going to Moonshine Bay, and I'm not coming out. I'm going to stay all day. Because I knew Ari hadn't made the cut, and the Jockimson had a good day in there. So there was less people in it, and I was headed that direction. But what happened on day 3 was the wind was howling out of the north. And I was running that north shore to go to Moonshine. This is in takeoff. This is a weird deal. And I ran down that north shore, and I'm running. Let me back up a little bit. When we were in practice, after practice, Sukup and I exchanged a couple of waypoints, and I told him, a couple of places I had. And he had a waypoint. He's like, dude, I didn't fish here much, but he said, I'm telling you, the water's, right. Everything looks good and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, it was just in the back of my mind. I never had thought about it again. Fast forward to the third day of tournament, and I'm running down that north shore, and I'm having to run closer in the reed lines because the north wind's blowing so hard. So I'm like running really tight to the north shore inside of reed lines and stuff. And we're flying, and we've been driving for about 15 minutes. And I'm like, man, the water is so freaking clear. Like, we just hit this one stretch, and I mean, I don't know what's here, why the water's so clear, but like it's freaking clear. And I just kind of came off pad, and I looked around, and there's boats, flying by me out there, and I'm thinking about how rough it's going to be running across the open water once I clear that north shore. And I'm like, let's just every morning I've stopped for an hour or so, and it hasn't been productive. Let's keep doing that. Let's stop for an hour here, just maybe a half hour, to see how it goes. And there's nobody around. It's just me. and I'm throwing a swim jig, and like 10 minutes in, I catch like a 2.5 pounder on that Omega swim jig, and I'm like, that was my second biggest fish yesterday, 2.5 pounder. And so we're going to start with the first one like that. Well, let's see what else is here. And I put the swim jig down after a little bit and grabbed a chatterbait, and I caught a 4.5.
Ooh.
And now I'm thinking, damn. So Travis is with me. This is another cool thing too, with Bassmaster on the Elite Series, our camera guy. So I had Travis call and register email. He sent an email in and got registered, right? You know what I'm talking about to be certified.
Yeah. He's a official media observer that goes through, lets him know what you're going to do, that you're legit, that you're actually doing media for Bassmaster.
Correct. So what that allows him to do is on practice days, he can ride with guys. He can ride with anybody, not just me or John. He can ride with anybody in the Elite Series. And so that allows him to get some, content and stuff during our practices. And then also in our tournaments, if we for some reason don't draw a marshal, I think he has to, I'm not sure exactly what the process is, but he has to jump through a few hoops. He has to send maybe Lisa a text message or something and inform her that he's riding with so-and-so so that they know that there's, who's in the boat, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, day 3, going into it, that night I get a text message that says no observer. So I'm like, Travis, go do whatever you got to do. You're riding with me tomorrow. So that was really great because then I get all the content of him being in the boat, which is huge for what I'm trying to do. Anyway, after catch the 4.5 pounder, I turned to Travis and I was like, hey bro, we ain't leaving. You can go ahead and string your stuff out everywhere. And he was like, are you kidding? And I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. We're not leaving. Not for a while. And, man, I just stayed there all day. It never was fast and furious, but it was constant all day long, consistently, getting bites. So I just kept grinding and throwing the golden roach chatterbait and,
The what?
Yeah. It's in my YouTube video. I don't know why the guides down there in Okeechobee, they call that shiner a golden roach. And so they're always complaining about, I got to go out fishing with the golden roach today, and I don't know why they call them that, but they do. But I just had I've got some of those gold jackhammers from Japan.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of those?
I've heard about them. They're tungsten and you can only get them in Japan. And it's like, no one's ever caught a fish on a regular jackhammer now that these things are available.
Right. So I've had them for a few years. And I reach down in my box and I tie one on and it starts making a difference. I start getting even more bites. So the golden roach and I just enjoy our Saturday afternoon on the Elite Series to over 16 pounds of my best day of the event. So
and you end up beating Scott Martin by 3 ounces on Okeechobee. I mean, anytime you fish ahead of Scott Martin on Okeechobee, you did something right.
Man, he had a rough go. He caught 25 the first day and was a hero. And then he really, really struggled after that. But yeah, he'll take that finish. I was excited about it. I was happy. I mean, it wasn't a top 10, but it was a great start to my Elite Series. Yeah.
No, I have not watched Hallman's stuff yet. Sorry, Pete. I will. That's why I said go watch Hallman's stuff. But I've just been trying to keep my life in order.
So to the videos that they're talking about, that's another thing that's a big part of what I'm doing now. It's not just tournament fishing, right? Because creating that content and having Travis with us and it adds a whole nother dimension into the house. So we're constantly working, whether we're making content or getting content or working on tournaments and fishing and trying to figure out where to catch fish. There's been a lot of hangups. I know a lot of the guys on my YouTube have been like, the music's too loud and can't hear you talking. And
everything I've seen has been freaking phenomenal.
I agree with them in a lot of places, but what people don't realize is like, it's our first time, working together like this. We're trying to get a whole bunch of stuff crammed in and get it edited and done, quickly. And it's creating a few hiccups, but we've just got a few things that we've got to get worked out. But
the quality of it is absolutely insane.
Oh, Travis is incredible. I actually started working with Travis last summer, but yeah, it's legit. Travis is very, very good. He's no rookie. I actually met Travis at the NPFL. He and his brother do all of a lot of NPFLs on the water stuff.
Mm-hmm. Just a 4?
Yeah, there's the golden roach. No, this is a catfish.
Okay.
This is Wrong Fish Wednesday. Yes.
Oh, that had to get you going.
Oh, it did. Of course it did.
Oh, crappie.
Crappie, another Wrong Fish Wednesday.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Brad.
Yep. I appreciate it. We put a lot into it, so it takes a lot of work to be able to kick that out, obviously.
One of the crazy things, we're going to take a quick break here. I'm going to try to hack the brakes up more and then come back with Seminole. But one of the things that's crazy is, I mean, dude, you wait for so long to get back on the Elite Series, and then back-to-back weeks and a quarter of the year is done.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I mean, you got the potential to have 4 days and you've already screwed yourself, which you did not. I mean, is that not true though? Like if you think about it, I mean, you have 4 bad days and now you're
so I fished. This is the reality of it, because you're kind of starting to sound like Mark Jeffries, but that's okay. You can sound like Mark.
I'm not sounding like Mark Jeffries.
You sound
I'm
like
saying
Mark
that
Jeffries.
There's some pressure on you to kick things off.
No, there's not. I basically have fished 5 days on the Elite Series up to this point. I had one bad day of the 5, and it was a bad day. And the bad problem is it was on a day 2, not a day 3. So it really cost me. I will agree with that. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back. The Lake Seminole event with Bradley Hallman with his new BFE hats. I think there's going to be this is the first look at those hats, Brad.
100%. Got them out of the box.
Show one of the other ones again. Show it again, because it's got a little bit more. Richardson 112
so got
black.
The Richardson 112, the black BFE. It's got on the back. I got the little
other side.
Oh,
there it is. The Hallman
fishing logo. Kind of looks like the ranch, some ranch style logo that would be.
Do you have any idea when those will be available and how they'll be available and through what resource and what the price is and who's going to ship them out and when people are going to get them?
Let's just stay with the tees for a minute. Look at this trucker hat, dude. That's badass. Look at that. Yeah, the white foam trucker. They're going to be $25. That's what they've got to be. The cost of living's ridiculous, but $25
fair.
And that's even for the Richardson 112. So
because the patch costs more, because you have to buy the patch separate to put the patch on the hat, and then the back corner thing is also a separate patch that they have to put on. So there's 25 is because I've done that with the BTL hats. Very, very, very reasonable.
So I'll definitely have some at the Classic. I imagine what I have will be sold out pretty quick at the Classic, just peddling them around if I make it that far. And but I was kind of wondering, do I go ahead and order? How many do I order? Do I order another 100? Do I order 2? I don't know where but I don't want to end up with a closet full of hats that.
No, you need. I think
my kids and I are wearing for the next 20 years.
I think you need to start with 250 of the BFEs and 250 of the LBJs.
Ooh, the LBJ, I like that.
Just the exact same except LBJ. So then if you're going jig fishing, you throw the LBJ hat on.
How many freak show hats?
Dude, you're going to become a clothing mogul.
Yeah. They're good sayings.
Who's going to ship all this stuff out?
I've got all that figured out. I do. So I'm going to get it all set up on an account online where people can purchase and it all gets mailed out to you. I just don't have that.
Did you ever do the boots? Yes or no on the boots so far?
Don't give away stuff yet, Matthew.
So that's
the Tony Llamas? No, we haven't even talked about
all I said
publicly.
Was boots. You're the one giving away information now.
No. We got to keep that on the down low.
Okay. It's BTL on a Tuesday with Bradley Hallman breaking down the first 2 Bassmaster Elite Series stops of the 2023 season. We just went through Okeechobee, a 29th place finish, top 30 finish, 46.9. Then we'll move to next week, which was 3 weeks ago, which was Lake Seminole, his second event. BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back right after this.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronic setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, welcome back, BTL on a Tuesday with Bradley Hallman. And, dude, you're rocking a couple of the new sponsors that we also have on BTL there, mainly Beatdown and Pro Guide. What'd you think of the old beat? Are you running the ultimate shorty double stack up front?
That's it. That's exactly what I got. Dude,
what do you think
incredible.
about that? Dude,
I'm amazed at how
it's
strong.
It's freaking nice, isn't it?
Dude, it's strong as it can be. Like, I was, anytime you see something like that, you're like, okay, well, what about big water? But no, I think you could put a skier behind that thing. How you put the ski stand in the back?
I don't think it's designed for that. It would probably stress the fiberglass. But I would, like, on the first open, I ran mine 8 inches off of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And in Florida, I mean, you probably didn't take it all the way up to the 33 inches that it could, but I like how the thing swivels and how you can bump it up 5-6 inches. It's
and I like how when you just barely tighten it down, like it's locked down. That's what I like. It doesn't take a lot of work, and it's stuck.
And I also made it through the first open with lithiums, and guess what? They're not complicated. They're not complex. I can tell how much juice I had in it. I had 2 nights that I didn't even charge my batteries, and when I did, I just plugged it in like normal. I don't know why I was scared of them.
Yeah, I don't know why you were either. Like I said, I had run them for 5 years before. So the big thing is the life, expectancy of those is so much longer than our acids. So that's why I'd invested in them the first time 5 years ago, and I couldn't believe I was still running those same lithiums 5 years later, but I have.
I need that shirt. I don't even have a shirt like that.
Ooh, I have something you don't have. This one?
Yeah, no, I don't have that. I've got a hat. That's it. I have to talk to Matt Looney about that maybe. All right, so you kick things off with a 29th place finish out Okeechobee. Then you head to Seminole, a place that you have a little history with in the past, from the FLW Tour. Run through Seminole because that was a very interesting tournament to watch on Bass Live, and then to talk to some of the guys. It was pretty tricky, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we showed up and it was a little cooler right when we got there, and it had been warmer, and you could tell it was just a little cool off, but it wasn't much. But practice was a little bit stingy, and I know it was because I don't think I got any phone calls at Okeechobee other than Sokup and I. But first day of this one, my phone starts ringing, right? So I know that they're not biting, and I had a horrible practice. I didn't even realize how I'd kind of forgotten how bad my practice was until we started going back and working on the videos for that event for practice. And dude, the first 2 days of practice were pretty slow for me, about as slow as they get. Third day of practice, Sokup and I went up and put in up at takeoff and worked that upper river that we were going out of, and it worked out. Found a little hole where there's some spawners in it, and I felt like I could probably hunker down in there for a day or so and catch some fish. I didn't know how much or anything like that, but enough to kind of give me a glimpse, which is sometimes what you like going into a tournament. So first day of the event, I run straight there, and I wasn't the only one that found it. There was like 10 of us in there to start the morning, including John Cox, who is not who you want to see when you're in a little hole trying to sight fish. But fortunately, he didn't stay long. He got in and out, and I kind of hunkered down myself. Ended up with Dave, right? Dave Rush is my observer that day. That was cool. I just kind of hunkered down and started catching some fish, and they're just sight fishing, and they were decent little fish. And before I knew it, it's like 10, 11 o'clock, and everybody was gone but me. Everybody had left, and nobody came back. And the sun came out, and it kind of got slick, and I could really see some stuff in there then, and was able to call up in the evening, the afternoon of that day, and came in with, I don't know, 15 pounds, maybe 15 pounds even.
Were you with Dave on day one or day two?
Day one.
He said you farmed a big one.
Yeah, I did. So I'd forgotten about that. I catch that fish, dude. I'm probably leading day one. Probably.
Oh, wow.
21 was leading, I think, after day one. It was in that ballpark. So there was a fish in there, and I hadn't seen her at all, but some of the guys were talking about her when the big group was in there. So I kind of teased and agged along like I had seen her and knew she was in there too, but I honestly didn't. I don't know that it was her, that specific fish, but I was reeling a worm by some pads, and same thing, I'd kind of reeled it up there and killed it. And when I killed it, thonk, and I set the hook, and dude, big one, 7-8 pound big, right? Big one. And I probably had her for, I don't know, 5-6 seconds, maybe 10 seconds.
Enough to
probably 10 seconds. I I'd pulled her all the way out. She's shaking her head. I've already seen her, her mouth's like this big. And I'm like, this is the one, like this is going to make my day. And then she just pops loose. And anyway, I don't catch her. I end up catching a 4-pounder a little bit later after her. That kind of helped move me up. But yeah, that's fishing. But that's the only one that I lost that day that would have helped or hurt me. Obviously, big fish are big fish, but that's tournament fishing, would have loved to have had her ride. If she rides, I probably make the cut too, just with her, on day two, even though my weight was so bad on day two, but she doesn't come in. And that was really the only opportunity that I gave myself. I gotta be able to generate more bites than that. But so I'll get in day one, 15 pounds. I'm in good shape. I'm inside the cut. The problem that I have, and I know I have, is that there's not much left where I just was. Like when the sun's up and everybody's gone, there's not much left in there. It's about as clean as I can pick it. Now, John Cox told me the next morning before takeoff that he caught a 5 in there when he came in right before weigh-in. So he was kind of adamant, you ought to just go in there and stay again all day. And I just didn't feel that, couldn't do it. And I ran around on day 2, probably, I don't know, checking 5, 6, 7 areas. It broke down exactly like I thought it would. I knew it was a 50-50 day. I didn't know where in the hell to go. I just knew kind of what I was looking for. And I was just going to lock that swim jig and that worm in my hand until I found some spawners. I did run into some spawners, 2 or 3 that were definitely worth catching, but they were not anywhere near catchable. They were just, won't get on the bed, swimming around, doing their deal. And I would leave them, come back, try to blind cast them. I just never could get any of them to go. And, man, it was a tough day. I ended up catching my 5th keeper with like 5 minutes left in the day. And, you know how those bad tournaments are, Matt. Sometimes that's a little silver lining, catching that 1.5 pounder with 5 minutes left in the day, as opposed to going in with 4, it kept me out of the 80s and 90s and 100s, still.
Yeah, you'd have been like 95th. Instead, you finished 74th with 24-12, 9-12 on day 2.
Yeah.
And once again, you tied with Scott Martin. So, I mean, you get out of Florida with 2 ounces more weight than Scott Martin. I'll take that every day.
Yeah. I don't know. Scott didn't have the best events either, so I don't know that you take that every day. But we didn't kill ourselves. Let's put it that way. We got out of Florida and didn't have the, 100th place finish. So happy about that. I'm real excited to go on to the next ones. But that's pretty much the rundown of how my 2 events went. Like I said, I fished 5 days and I had one bad one, and it was on the wrong day for sure.
I like it. And I think now if I can get to Bassmaster right here, anglers, AOY standings. Now, you obviously did not qualify as a rookie. How does that work for points then on staying on the Elite Series? You still just get 2 years?
Yes.
Even though you're not a rookie?
We still get 2 years. Hey, I don't want to get way off subject, but we can kind of go down this road. John Sokup, really, he's just like you. He's very mathematical and puts everything into, how he is, does his spreadsheets and stuff. And so he, over the last few days, has been trying to figure out the math of what the average finish is going to take for the new guys coming in because of the way that math is.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you pretty much better stay somewhere around 55th or better if you're a new guy coming on tour.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You better stay below 55 in the AOY. And you think there's 100 guys there and you're only kicking out the top 10, you could average 60th and be beating 40 of them, and they'll send you out. That's how it works.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's scary. But you're not in bad shape. You have 107 Angler of the Year points. Right now, the Classic Cut is at 118.
So what am I, like 10, 11 points from the Classic Cut?
53rd. Yeah, you're 9 points from the Classic Cut.
Yeah, I'm all right.
But I mean, dude, there's some weird things that happen in the first one, like Brandon Polinick, 67th, Jason Christie, 66th, Brandon Lester, 64th, Zaldane, 72nd. You're gonna see a lot of change, of change over the years.
So, tell us about your opens. First one of the year.
Oh, dude, I got lucky. I didn't get lucky. I don't know. I'll see if you think I got lucky or not.
Okay.
So I go down there and I had some. I'm gonna be brutally honest on this. I got some help from a couple guys who fished the NPFL last spring when they were there, obviously before the cutoff, and weren't fishing this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had probably, I want to say, 10 brush piles and 10 quote hard spots. So probably over the entire lake from the top to bottom, probably had 20 spots to go check. And the first, which is a good, see, I like to get a spotting and to get a feel for what it's like. The one thing that I first noticed is I did not like how the brush piles laid out on Eufaula in Alabama.
What do you not like about them?
I didn't like how they looked on live scope. I didn't like how they looked when you set up. It wasn't like a condo like you would call. It was a bunch of just scattered crap. I wasn't a big fan of a lot of Christmas trees and kind of sparse stuff. Like it wasn't like
it didn't look like Thunderbird.
That's what I said. I made a joke. I was like, man, these people at Eufaula need to spend a week at the Ozarks and see how brush piles are really made, right?
Yeah.
But they obviously catch them in it. And I went out the first day of practice and I had 5 bites off of it. It was for like 18 to 20 pounds. And 2 or 3 bites were off of, brush piles that I had, and 2 or 3 were off of stuff that I had found. Cause I mean, it's the way that the lake works. It's like a drain that leads back into it, but the water temp was like 65 degrees, 66 degrees. So I'm like, okay, I can make this work. So I spend the next 2 days trying to find offshore brush piles. And this is where I went brush piles, not hard spots, which is where I messed up. Well, I never had a freaking bite. Like the rest of Sunday, all of Monday, I caught 2 fish, and 90% of Tuesday, I caught like 1. So now I've got a half a practice day left. I've now gone back to the brush piles that I got bit in before. I not only don't see them there, I fish them and I cannot get bit there. And I'm staring down the barrel of a 00. Like I'm feeling it. It's not feeling good at all. And a rooming with Joe LaBarbera and Andrew Upshaw. And Joe was like, hey, I can get a couple bites up shallow on a Cinco. So I'm like, couple bites sounds amazing right now. So Tuesday night I go up shallow, and my first 2 bites, like a 3 and a 3.5 on a weightless Cinco. So weightless stick bait. So then Wednesday I go out, I look at where all these shallow docks are. I use the deep dive app to see where the muddy water is. This is no joke. I really did. And I go to the muddy water with the docks in it, and I shake like 5 off. And I'm like, dude, I'm freaking golden. I found it at the last day of practice, not worried about it. So I've got 3 spinning rods with braid to 14-pound leader with the trick sticks wacky rigged. And I'm just skipping it up under the posts in 2 foot of water.
Yeah, good stuff.
The first day I start, and first day of the tournament, and I'm thinking I can do 13 to 15 a day, which I think is going to be glorious. I'm not thinking I can. I think if it goes right, I can. But I'm not comfortable going into it. So 2 hours into the first morning, there's 5 guys that start in the cut that I start in. There's literally some dude stuck on the log, trolling around, going trying to get off of it, that I had shaken a fish off of Wednesday, that I was literally going in there to catch the fish that I'd shaken off, and he is now stuck on the log doing circles on it. So I was like, that's not good. Then there was a guy on the right that was locked on a bedfish that I didn't even know was there. And I was like, I don't know how I missed that yesterday. That's not good. So then I go to the back and I start skipping around. Don't catch anything. Some dude comes in, shuts down, power pulls down, catches a 4-pounder behind me that I had missed again. So that's not good. Now I'm like, dude, I'm an hour in. I've skipped all this. I have not caught anything, and I am in trouble, right? Because I was thinking this would be it. So on the way out, there's just 2 little points in this little cut. And I said, screw it. I'm just going to throw a Ned rig on this point and see what happens. And like my very first cast, the Ned rig goes about 4 foot down. And it just stops. Just sticky. I'm like, I feel like that might be shell. That might be shell. I feel like it might be shell. And I pull it, and it's like, and it comes free. And then it sticks again. I tell my co-angler, I said, I think that's shell out there. And I pull it, and it pops free, and it goes, don't. And it's like a 2 1/4, right? So I'm like, holy cow, I caught one. I'm like, there's got to be more than 1 on shell. It's just this nondescript kind of clay point that's got. So I fire it back out there. Doesn't even get to the bottom, and it's like a 2 3/4. So now I've got 2, and I'm like, oh, dude, we're gonna sit here all day and load the boat. Then I go 30 minutes without a bite. So I go back and I look at my graph, and I'm scrolling, and I'm like, well, literally like right there, like 30 yards away on the other side. I said, it looks like the same contour lines on my C map. So I literally just idle over there, keep the trolling motor down. And I cast out. It doesn't even get to the bottom, and it's like a 4.5 or 5-pounder.
Oh my gosh.
And I reel into it, 14-pound test, 7.4. And I'm like, dude, it's pretty big. So here's the weird thing was that fish hit it and ran so fast. When it jumped, I didn't see it jump, and my co-angler did, and he went, oh, wow. So that's how I knew it was. I heard it, obviously, but I was looking anyway. I get this thing through 2 more jumps, get it all the way to the boat. It comes up against the side of the boat, and I can hear it whack up against the side of the boat. And I'm walking back to sit down, and I think I gave it a little slack. I did something, and it pops off.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, oh, no. I still only had 2, but then I catch 6 off of the other spot, and it's got shell over there too. So I have 2 little bitty shell bed areas, right?
Yeah.
And I go back and forth, and I had about 12 pounds. And I'm like, well, I got to go work on the Cinco skipping thing. At this point, I still think that might play. It might be an afternoon deal. So I run to another area, and I start catching spotted bass, which tells me it's done. Every time that big largemouth get replaced with spotted bass, you're screwed. However, one of those spotted bass was a 3.5. So that's what, and I caught it on a drop shot on the end of a dock. So that's what got me up to 13.9. So I come in thinking I'll be in like 50th. I'm in freaking 94th. I mean,
Taylor Watkins said the same thing. Thought he'd done really good and came in and was like, wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. So now I'm like, that we knew the next day was going to get canceled. Bass did a good job of canceling the next day. But now I'm like, okay, well, you know, if I have a mediocre or bad day, I'm starting the year off with 120th, 130th, 140th.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got my dock pattern. I think I've got maybe 1 dock that I can catch a spotted bass off of, and 2 shell beds the size of the front deck of a boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were probably the size of a boat and truck put together. They're decent size, and they were 30 yards apart. Hadn't seen anybody fish them. So I'm like rigging it. I'm like, well, I don't really know much about shell, but I said, I'm going to tie on a Carolina rig, a biffle bug, a crankbait, big stand-up shaky head worm, a football jig, Ned rig, drop shot, and shaky head. So I said, I'm going to stay on those 2 little shell beds all freaking day. Like, I am not going to leave until I have a big sack. And then the plan was to go look for bedfish, because dude, here's what I noticed. I sat there for maybe 3 or 4 hours the first day. There were at least 20 boats that came in, shut down. Like, if I was on one of the little shell beds, they'd shut down on top of the juice of the other shell bed, pick up their flipping stick, and run the exact same pattern down the grass line, down the bank, down the docks. The same thing that I did the first day. But I'm like, dude, everywhere on the lake is like that. No fewer than 20 guys did it. I mean, if you had a track of where the boats went, everyone was throwing a white swim jig or a flipping bait or a Cinco. They went down the exact same thing. They shut down at the same time. They looked on the same things. They made the same, because I can watch all this because I'm out there dragging the shell. And I'm like, I'm not going to go find anything else. So I've got this shell that we've had, my co-angler had 7.5, 8 pounds off of it on the first day too. We've had 9, 10 bites off of it. There's got to be 5 more. We've had a day off. I'm camping on this stuff, right? So on day 2, it was slow and steady. Caught a couple, one on a drop shot, one on a shaky head. And then I go out in front and I throw a friggin' 5XD. And because that's apparently one of the crankbaits on that pond. I caught one. Oh, I roll up first thing, and on the Russ Lane square bill, I catch one on like my second cast, like a 2-pounder. I'm like, cool, I got one. Then I caught another 2-pounder. Then I pick up the 5XD, and I'm like pumping it to bring it back in after I'd ground it off the shell, and a 4-pounder eats it. Eats the back treble hook, crank, boat flip. Now I've got one good one. So now I'm on one here. So like, I got to see.
I like the cranking.
Okay, so here's how it goes. If you can see that, right? So this is how it goes. The circles are the shell beds, right?
Got it.
So I'm sitting here, but I also have here, and I feel like there's more bites. Oh crap! That's why you have a lid. I feel like there's more bites on this one, but I've got more quality on this one. So I'm sitting on this one, and locals pull up on this one with 3 people in the boat.
Oh boy.
So I take this one and as fast as I can, and now I'm trying to block them out. Well, now we're in a freaking casting contest. And I had 3 fish at the time, right? So I'm over there, and I'm trying to protect it, and I can tell that they're like, "Hey, we're here to fish."
Yeah, I mean, why not go fishing 3 guys in a boat on the day that the Open's there? I mean, there's only 225 guys on the lake.
There's only supposed to be 10 guys on the lake because the second day got canceled, and it's the weekend, and it's a beautiful day, and the wind is low. I got no issue with them out there, but I mean, I'm clearly stressed out. So anyway, we're kind of casting the same spot, and I catch one, and they don't say anything, and they don't leave. And I'm not able to cast. Their boat is sitting right on. And the only thing I can tell on my live scope is it's like kind of fuzzy. Like I never saw any fish. I never saw bait. I never saw anything. It was just where the shell was. It was fuzzy. And the fuzziness is right under their damn boat. So I'm having to cast where I don't. Well, I cast a drop shot out, and I go to move it, and it's tight, and it's like a 403. So I reel into it. Well, it's a freaking tail walker. So now they're 20 yards to the right of me, and this thing's just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way to the boat. Key thing here is I had learned, this was from watching Chris Zaldane's podcast with Rick Clunn. And Rick Clunn was talking about keeping the hook points moving towards the boat will help reduce losing fish. When possible, you hook a fish. You want to keep that hook point moving towards you. It's harder for a fish. When you stop and let them turn and the hook point turns and they're doing all this crap, that's when they come off.
Yes.
So I had a massive issue with losing fish last year. So this year I'm like, I am keeping the hook point moving towards the boat, especially when I've got 12 or 14 pound test. So when that 4-pounder's there, I'm freaking giving it to him.
Right.
And I know I've got 14. I've got it set up to where he can't break me off, but I'm not letting him fight, which is why he's just up, down, like a little jumping bean all the way back to the boat.
A jumping bean.
So I get down, I scoop it. I'm by myself, and that's number 5 then. And the guy in the boat goes, "That your limit fish?" And they clap. So I'm like, okay, they know what's up. They know I'm in the tournament. I said, "Yeah, that's 5." And I just said, "Listen," I said, I'm really not trying to be a dick, but this is the only 20-yard stretch on the entire lake that I think I could catch a fish on, and I'm just trying to survive. And he goes, "Oh, no, man, I get it. We'll give you your space." And they left. And
Very nice.
They were
Very
super
nice,
right?
Very nice, yeah.
So I continued. I counted by the end of the day between these two spots right there.
Yeah.
Like the trails back and forth. 14 times I went back and forth between the two spots.
You just needed one more little point, and you could have had a really good little area maybe.
And when it was said and done, I had 16-10. So the cool thing, and every once in a while I think you're rewarded with like 10 minutes left. Niggemeyer rolls by, and he'd had a really good day one, and he said, "Hey, you catching them?" And I said, "Yeah, I got a decent limit." I said, "How about you?" He goes, "I only got 2." And I said, "Dude, shaky head right here. Come on." And he's like, no. I just wanted to see how you were doing. And I was like, "Dude, if you don't have anything else, I have to leave in 5 minutes." Like, he's like, "Okay." So he pulled up, and I said, "There's another little spot like 30 yards this way." Right.
Yep.
I said, "I'll idle over there." I said, "I got to go." I said, "But I'll idle over there and show you how I set up on that one too. You've got an hour." So I idled over, trolling motor down, back to the other spot. I've got a 260 in the live well, and I literally make one cast, kind of showing them where that shell is. And I go to like lift it, and it's swimming heavy, steady. And it's like a 315, like 3.15, but it calls up like half a pound for me.
Absolutely.
And that was my very last cast of the day.
Yeah, that's a good.
So I had it where, I had the fish in the one on one side and 4. So I just chuck it, box it. I'm like, holy cow, that worked out good. I went 11 for 12 on the second day. The only one was I caught a 212, and I cast the drop shot back out, and another one ate it. And of course it felt big, and I reeled into it, and it was like I had not reset my freaking drag.
Oh,
so I get up, and I crank it, and I get back, and then he pulls off. And I said to myself, I said, "You idiot, that's on you." That's the only thing I said that got me stressed out for the day. I said, "You idiot, that one's on you."
Yeah.
I said that out loud.
We're all guilty of that, and it happens over and over, no matter how many times you try to.
I freaking came in with 30 pounds. I averaged 15 a day on a fishery I'd never been for. Found a shell bed. I didn't know what the hell I was doing on a shell bed. Maximized the bite. Fished fairly clean. And had 15-1 a day and finished 47th and missed the check by like 12 ounces. But mission accomplished, right? Wouldn't you say, for the first Open?
100% mission accomplished. We talked about this before you left, and anything below, 60 or 70 was great. But Yeah, dude. I mean, I know it's disappointing not to get a check, but that's not all your fault because you finished in the top 20 percentile of that field. It's, the paybacks.
Oh, dude, I went on a absolute epic rant at I think the 1 minute and 17 second or 1 hour and 17-minute mark of yesterday's show.
You went on a rant?
Big time rant.
Actually,
I was yelling.
I heard about it. I stopped in the tackle store yesterday and they were actually talking about, Lucky Lure. They were talking about your rant.
Oh, I got heated. Like I was hot. The phrase hot under the collar, I believe, right?
Dude, they didn't change the payback at all. And I think
it's our fault.
They teased that it was going to happen, but then it didn't happen. I also noticed you kind of brought it up a little bit in the beginning with Hank whenever you talked to him. I didn't watch all that, but I watched the beginning and I know you teased it there a little bit, but they definitely hinted to the fact that payout structure could possibly change, but it did not.
All right, we'll take a final break of the show. When we come back, wrap things up with Bradley Hallman, see what you have coming up in the upcoming weeks, what's coming up on your YouTube channel, and then also tease what's coming up on BTL. Final break. We'll be back right after this BTL on a Tuesday. Elite Series Pro, Bradley Hallman with the new BFE hats, which are not available. We'll be back after this.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out. I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, we are back. BTL on a Tuesday. I do need to mention to wrap up the Opens, we had a heated exchange on the Open Pros Pick'em about Ish, talking about, oh yeah, go to Eufaula and use your spin and tackle and see how that works out for you. Now, I'm not saying that a 47th place is a great finish. There's a lot of room for improvement there, and we got absolutely blasted by Milliken and Cannon and the likes of the OHIV and East South Texas crowd that absolutely figured out a deep cranking by Jack York's in there too and absolutely blasted us. Like that was highly impressive. Some of the names that were there, especially, dude, we have not seen the YouTube, quote unquote, YouTube anglers fare very well. And Milliken came out of the gates and said, pay attention, boys. I'm freaking here and I'm not going anywhere. And he's going to be real strong at Toledo Bend. And I talked to Cannon and I talked to Milliken, and there's nothing, I don't want to say intimidating, but there's nothing more that makes you take notice in practice when you just go, oh, you on him and blah, blah, blah. And the guys look you dead in the eye and go, yeah, I'm freaking blasting him.
Really?
And both of those guys were like, yeah, I'm freaking blasting him. And it wasn't like cocky because I didn't really know Cannon that much and stuff, but it was just supreme confidence that they had some offshore fish that weren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And they both finished in the top 5.
Very impressive. Both of them. Very impressive. Milliken
did.
was
Milliken
obviously,
said, hold my
you know,
beer, MFers.
When you got all eyes and targets on your back and everybody's watching, that was a lot of pressure. And hats off to them, man. Well done.
Yeah, it was good stuff. But anyway, I don't think it's going to happen very often over the next 8. So when it does, I'm going to point it out. But I out spinning rodded Ish.
Yeah.
Who said, hey, show up with your spinning rods and see what happens. And I caught that outside of that one fish cranking, everything else was on a spinning rod, and it was evenly distributed between shaky head, which I set up based on Casey Ashley's recommendations on BTL from his show 2 months ago. Literally use that setup and that confidence on it. So evenly split between shaky head, mid-sized Ned, and the power drop shot that I love with like a 6-inch leader, 3/8 ounce Denali covert tungsten on it, and just a 6-inch straight tail.
Very nice. Very nice.
All spinny rod.
So do I tune in to Opens Pick'em, I guess? Are you going to bring this up going into the, I guess you guys will do the classic for sure, right? Classic show?
Yeah. We'll do the classic show.
Will this come up then? Or are you going to have Ish on before that?
No, I'm not. Dude, Ish has, listen, this is the honest to God truth. Ish has $2.5 million in earnings. Like over 10 classics, Elite Series wins, FLW wins. Like, I don't feel like it's justified to bring up a 47th place finish in a Bassmaster Open with a guy with a resume like that. Like, just
I would agree with you.
Let Sleepy Dog slide and move on.
With that being said, Opens Pick'em has been must-watch TV this year. It's definitely the best year that thing's been on. It's been great. And those guys, now not only do you have just Todd picking on you, it seems like you're being double-teamed at this point.
Yeah, so I've actually gotten to know Ish. I've known Ish for a long time. I've always respected Ish. Thought it was always great. But like, I've actually kind of gotten to know him more as a person since we started this, because he called to be like, hey, like, you know, I want to make sure that you understand that, yeah, this is legitimate what we're saying, but like, I don't want to come across like I'm actually beating you down. I'm like, no, we're good, dude. We're good. That dude, I've talked to him for like a couple hours and stuff now. Like, man, he's got it figured out. I mean, there's a reason why he's Ish Monroe, and he's got 2.5 million in earnings.
Dude, it's must-watch TV. I'm very impressed when I watched them. I thought they were really, really good. Todd on the first one showing up with that clothing outfit was just perfect.
Yeah, it is. So, all right, what do you have coming up? Obviously, you have the rest of Seminole that's going to be out soon on your YouTube channel. The practice video dropped yesterday.
Yeah, day one will drop Thursday, and then next Monday will be day two, and then I've got a bunch more stuff in the can still. So, like, I was looking at it last night. I'm actually doing well right now. Travis is killing it. We're having a good time with it. Like I said, there's a lot of learning, and we're learning along the way. So we've got some hiccup stuff we've got to fix to finish out the year. But so it's not a finished product what we're putting out right now, but it's definitely a huge improvement from where I was.
You'll be at the Bassmaster Classic.
100%.
Have any idea where you'll be yet?
I'm sure I will be bouncing amongst my group of sponsors booths. I would guarantee that.
I'm pretty sure that like AFCO, Spro, Big Bite, Gamakatsu are all kind of in the same like communal deal. So you'll probably be there. If Beatdown has a booth, you'll be at the Beatdown. You'll be hanging out with Matt Looney and the guys over at Pro Guide. Stay tuned to your social media. I'll mention it on BTO when you know the times as well. Okay. Because I think it'd be nice to get us both in the booth at the same time.
I definitely want to get in the booth with you at the same time. Actually, today is part of what I've got to get done. I've got some emails I've got to get back to from different companies of they want time schedules. So, and I've got to get a schedule done. So today, that is actually my goal.
I got you. That was a good breakdown, man. Like I said, you're through the first quarter. You're right there at the top half of the Elite Series season. We're going to get John on soon to talk about it. It's just John has so much stuff going on his
John's
plate.
filming with Jimmy Houston today, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I said. John has a lot going on. So we'll get John on. But thank you for taking the time out, Bradley. Greatly appreciate it. Congratulations. Seems like things are rolling. YouTube channel never been better. Apparel never been better. You're on the Elite Series and you're headed to shake hands and kiss babies at the Bassmaster Classic in a couple weeks.
Yeah, and the 2024 Classic is at the house.
Ooh, was that? I mean, did that give you butter? Did you know that before it came out?
Yeah, they sent us a text and invited a couple of us to Tulsa for the announcement. So when you
first heard that, did you get chills?
It wasn't chills. It was a lot of screaming. I was very excited to see that. Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I think I got that text about the same time my truck broke down in West Memphis. So
yeah,
I was in pretty good mood after that.
We didn't even get into that. So you're good to go. You got a vehicle?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Kenny took care of the brakes.
Yeah, Kenny. Oh, poor Kenny.
All right, guys. This has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Bradley Hallman, thank you very much. Also, Jody White previewing the 2023 Redcrest on Lake Norman that kicks off tomorrow. We will talk with everybody on Wednesday morning. We'll see you later.